We all ready to go?
We are ready.
Give it 1 second. And
Okay, I'd like to call the Plaquemines Parish School Board rescheduled Monday, June 15th meeting via Zoom platform to order. We'll have the invocation by Ms. Monica Wirtz and the pledge by Mr. Corey Alborough. I mean, Chad Alborough, my son. We all having a good day, huh? So invocation by Ms. Monica Wirtz, and then we'll have Mr. Chad Alborough with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear Lord, may your goodness and love be present among us today. Come bless our gathering with unity, hope, and vision. Lord, we pray for unity. Build in us all a deep respect for one another. Lord, we pray for hope. Come stir your hope within our hearts and renew our faith. We pray for vision. May your vision fill our lives as we seek to reveal your love. We ask all this in your glorious name. Amen.
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 pledge allegiance
To the flag
Of
of
the
the
United
United
States
States
and to the republic,
which it stands,
one nation,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice for all. Amen.
thank you. Okay, now we'll have roll call and declaration of quorum. Mr. Superintendent?
Darwin Damari Turner,
Here.
Daniel Morrell,
Here.
Nico Tasevich,
Present.
Joyce Lampkin. Ms. Lampkin,
She's here.
You might have it on mute.
She does.
Here.
and Shane Meyer,
Here.
Rain Barry Martinez,
Here.
Bobby Ingraham,
He has it on mute.
Take it off mute.
Bobby,
he's on, yeah,
He's off.
Just hit.
he's off.
Here.
okay, Paul Lemire,
Here.
and Jennifer St.
Here.
President, you have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Now we'll move on to 1.04, approval of the agenda.
I make a motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, you're making a motion with the addendum of 4.02.
I can't see what's,
I'll
I
make
don't
a
have that
motion.
paper.
Well,
I'll make a-
Jennifer's going to read it for us.
Okay, there you go.
I'll make a motion with the addendum of 4.02, discussion and appropriate action in regards to the approval of the new board policy Bbbb-school and student safety and excluding JCDAH, threats of terrorism or violence, with a waiver of the second reading. Ronald Bateman, Director of Student Services.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second.
I second
sir.
it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion from the board? Any discussion from the administration? Any questions from the audience? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any nays? Okay, the motion passes. Now we'll move on to 1.05, ad hoc and standing committee reports.
I have the executive committee report.
Okay. Ms.
All
Lampkin?
right. Plaquemines Parish School Board Executive Committee meeting Tuesday, June 2nd, 2020. The Executive Committee of the Plaquemines Parish School Board met on Tuesday, June 2nd at the North Transportation Building. Members present were Paula Mayer, President, Darylyn DeMol Turner, Vice President, Joyce Lampkin, Executive Committee Member, and Dennis Roussel, Superintendent. Others in attendance were Nico Tesvich, Shane Myers, Fran Bayi Martinez, Ronald Bateman, Monica Wirtz, and Sonia Duplessis. The meeting was called to order at 5:48 p.m. Mr. Ronald Bateman, Director of Student Services, presented the policies for discussion. The first item on the agenda was the proposed approval of wait, this is wrong. proposed approval of the new board policy Bbbb, school and student safety. This policy is new and was enacted by the state legislation as Act 641, LA Revised Statute 17:410. It defines the required process for reporting potential threats to the schools and student safety. Act 641 mandates that a standardized forms as well as other reporting avenues are to be used by students and school personnel in making or submitting a report to the school officials. Mr. Bateman informed the committee that many of the requirements are consistent to what we currently have in place in the district. Also, excuse me. Also, a school and student safety tab will be added to the district's website with the procedures and information for the parents and students. The same information will be provided to the teachers and administrators via Google Classroom and other training purposes. The next item on the agenda was a revision to the existing school board policy EBBC, Emergency Crisis Management. This policy reflects a small change to include that the school crisis and management response plan shall provide for parental notification in the event of a shooting or other violent incidents or emergency situation. Mr. Bateman explained that all schools in the district have developed their own emergency crisis management plans specifically designed and tailored to meet the needs of each individual school. However, 90% of the plans are the same. This information will also be updated and posted online within the next coming weeks. The emergency crisis management plan will be available for the teachers and administrators via Google Classroom. The last item on the agenda was also a revision to an existing school board policy, JCDAF, bullying, hazing, and terrorizing. This revision essentially removed the word terrorizing from the existing policy because of the cross-referencing with the two new policies, school and student safety and threats of terrorism. The policy was renamed bullying and hazing. The committee agreed to recommend to the full board for approval and propose revised board policies. There being no further business, the meeting was adjourned at 6:20 p.m.
Thank you, Ms. Lampkin. Do we have any more ad hoc or standing committee reports?
No.
Hearing none, we'll go on to item number 2, Plaquemines Parish School Board recognitions and or presentations. Do we have any, Mr. Superintendent?
Not at this time.
Not at this time. Okay, now we'll move on to item 3, board members' time for non-agenda and agenda items. Does any board member want to say anything?
I would just like to say, I hope that our students have a great summer, and I am hoping that everything goes smooth and this coronavirus is under control, and that our students and teachers and administrators and everyone could return to a somewhat normal school year in August.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Myers. Anyone else?
I wanted to make it noted that I read the coronavirus report for our parish showed that we have not had any deaths in Plaquemines Parish for 21 days now. And that's great news. And I encourage everybody in Plaquemines Parish to please continue being safe, wash your hands, do what you have to do to ensure that we're stopping the spread of that virus here in our parish. We're a great parish. Let's keep it that way. I don't want anybody leaving before their time. So let's take care of all our folks.
Thank you, Mr. Testwich. That's perfect, right? And the scene behind you is also something that I would like to commend. It's a beautiful football field, and I look forward to us having some games on it. Anyone else? Hearing none, we'll move on to item 4, superintendent's comments and reports. Mr. Russo.
4.01, discussion of appropriate action in regard to approval of revised board policies EDDC, emergency crisis management, and JCDAF, bullying and hazing, with a waiver of the second reading. Any questions or anything from the board members? Any concerns about the policies that the committee's recommended?
Okay, first we need a,
Need to make a
I'll make
motion?
make a motion. Yes, sir.
I second.
Wait, who made the motion?
Shane,
Oh, Shane Myers made the motion, seconded by Mr. Morel. Any discussion from the board?
is it the final that we accept, that we reviewed at the meeting?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Any more discussion from the board or the administration? From the audience? I guess we don't have too much audience right now other than online. But hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any nays? Okay, the motion passes. Now we'll move on to 4.02, Mr. Superintendent.
Discussion appropriate action in regard to the approval of the new board policy, Bbbb, school student safety, and with a waiver of the second reading.
I make a motion.
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Mr. Morel, seconded by Ms. Myers. Any discussion from the board? Any discussion from the administration or the audience? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any nays? Okay, the motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Okay, well, we have a second 4.02.
4.03.
4.03.
Discussion appropriate action in regard to the approval of Plaquemines Parish School Board's 2020 preparation, response, and recovery hurricane plan.
Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Do we have a motion by Mr. Morel, seconded by Ms. Lampkin? Mr. Bateman, would you like to speak on this or?
Yes, sir. The plan is basically the same as last year's. We added a distance learning component on curriculum, on instruction, on the curriculum and instruction side, and also on the technology side. And that's the only changes. If we're out for an extended period of time and we have to offer some kind of distance learning, it says that we just follow distance protocols.
Will it be a similar online system that we use for the coronavirus?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
but it's different that the whole country is not affected, and some students might have other schools to go to. But if a student evacuates to an area where the schools are not somewhere where a parent wants to send their children, we'll try to have that distance learning in place for them, but we will have it in place for them. If we're out for a time like Katrina, 6 weeks or whatever.
Okay, any other discussion from the board?
Did he send out the passes? Those, that get you back into the parish?
Yes, if you need one, let me know, Mr. Did I send you one with the sticker?
I didn't get one.
I don't know.
Y'all check it. I'll get from my office and I'll get them to you. But the sticker,
Thank you.
years. It's not a new placard. It's just a new sticker.
Okay.
Never got it.
Thank you, Ronald.
Yeah, I didn't
Thank you,
receive
Ronald.
one.
Just send me an email and I'll make sure you get it.
All righty.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bateman. Any other discussion from the board or the administration? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The motion passes. Thank you, Mr. Bateman.
Monthly Head Start budget. Patricia Hayden. You want to?
I don't see it in there.
Okay, the monthly Head Start budget. Any questions on that? From the Head Start.
No, sir.
I'll handle that. Okay, that's information. Before we go to the approval of the board consent, I want to share some information to the board and community. The superintendent's had a conference call discussing some of the concerns regarding reopening of schools. We've discussed the elementary schools, secondary schools, athletics, transportation, and other issues. There are so many unanswered questions, so many issues that the superintendent's concerned about. In the next week or two, we will be meeting personally and we will be coming up with some plans. But what we're doing is proposals are being submitted to us and we're discussing the pros and cons of all these proposals. As far as the superintendency here, this is what I feel personally, and this is the direction I want Plaquemines Parish to go in if we're able to do it. You know, I want to reopen and I want the students back into the district, but we're only going to do that if it's safe. But also, I do realize that we're going to have parents, if we do open up and we encourage everybody to come back, there will be parents out there that will be hesitant to send their students back. We will provide that distance learning to those parents. We will be sending out surveys to get the feeling of the community and see how many that we have so that we can plan effectively. So we're on top of that, but I will be sending out superintendent's letters to the community and to the board as soon as we're provided some more information from the State Department and from the governor's office. I also want to remind the board and the community that August 15th, we have a renewal election, us in the medical center down in Port Sulphur. These are renewals. These are not new taxes. I will send a letter out to all the community, letting them know the impact if this does not pass. It's 37% of our budget. We're talking about losing 130 teachers. But I feel very positive that these renewals will pass, but we have to get out there to the community and let them know how important this is to the school system and the operation of the school system. We have all kinds of numbers that I will be providing to the school board members and to the community, and we'll be pushing this election in the next couple of weeks. Are there any questions of, that you want me to ask? That you want to ask?
Are you going to take out a page, ad in the Gazette
Yes.
about our millage, renewal of our millages?
Yes, Ms. Lampkin. Yes, we will.
Okay, that's good.
We will.
And this is on property tax, correct?
This is what?
On property tax?
The renewal of your tax, yes.
Okay.
Which had passed 10 years ago. I remember passing it a few years after I was superintendent. But you have to emphasize that it is not a new tax. This is a renewal. Also with the hospital, this is a renewal, not new taxes. I will have the teachers on the line that day, and all personnel will be on the line that day. We will not take anything for granted. We will work hard to get this passed, and we will move on.
Mr. Russo, what kind of response have we gotten on those surveys that have been out in the community?
We've gotten a pretty good response, but I'm not satisfied with the response, so I'm gonna let it go another week. That way we can put it together, but we've got a good response, but not good enough. Some of these areas we have to get out there and push a little bit harder. I have not received the surveys from all the churches. I'll be getting those this week. But I wanna delay it another week so I can get some more information and some more surveys. What we did was we sent it out the first time at 12 o'clock. That was a terrible time to send it out. So we resent it at 5 o'clock, and we're getting many more responses from the 5 o'clock requested from the surveys. Any other questions, concerns?
Just Mr. Russo, I agree with you that I hope our schools can open. I hope we're at the point with all this coronavirus stuff that we are open. I know the parents and grandparents and aunts and uncles and other folks who were teaching our children in the parish while our schools were closed. I know they did the best they could, but that's not, it pales in comparison to what our great teachers in this parish do. And, getting those kids into those schools and learning from our teachers, our awesome teachers we have in Plaquemines Parish, that's a great thing. That's something that we need to do. So for me personally, I hope we can do that. And of course, do it safety. Safety is the number one, priority here. But I hope we do get our kids back in our schools and because it's best for our community, in my opinion.
It is. And we also, got the option to look at the labor. If this extension keeps on going, we could possibly delay the opening till after Labor Day. But I do not want to miss any days. With the technology that we have, we should be able to provide distance learning immediately. That way we don't have to make up days. But let's see what the governor says and with the state mandates. Like I said, we'll follow that. But that's what our plans are. We will open up if safely. We're not going to open up if it's not safe.
Right. Right.
So if you get any parents' concerns or anything, and they're calling you, tell them, give me a call. Then I can explain to them. But I'm going to be sending out some more superintendent letters in the next couple of weeks as soon as I get some clarification on some issues.
Thank you for that. We'll continue sharing them on social media.
I appreciate that so much.
Okay, Mr. Superintendent, do you want to take your board consent agenda together, the minutes of the meetings, board meetings, and the employment-related actions?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, can we have a motion to,
I make a motion.
I'll
Second.
second.
okay, we have a motion by Ms. Martinez, seconded by Mr. Morel. Any discussion?
Yeah, I had a question. When will we know more about how our sales taxes are going to be affected by this coronavirus?
Sales tax was not too good last month. The month before it was good. It went down a little bit, quite a bit.
Okay.
But it was down last month.
Any other questions or discussion from the board? From the administration? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The motion passes unanimously. Okay, we'll move on to information items. I skipped something earlier. I want everyone to keep one of our employees, Dina Phillips, in our prayers. She just lost her father and she's gonna be burying him tomorrow. So we like to keep them in our prayers. Mr. John Alexis, he was a good man. Anyone else have any information items?
I'd like to mention about our early childhood enrollment, if I could.
Yes, ma'am.
So Ms. Holly and I were working on our numbers today, trying to get information out to the families that have already registered for our program. And we are in need of some help from you guys. We have an online application where we've put out all of our information, but we're still coming up short with the kids that we need for our programs in a majority of our schools. We're close in Belle Chase, but we're really still short even in Belle Chase. We're opening up the phone lines for them to call if they have any questions. They can come to our office and they can pick up a packet if they're interested in applying. I hope you've seen our beautiful billboard that we have up to try and get some more families to come online and register as well. This week, we're going to make a ride to each one of the schools and bring actual paper copies to the schools. So if the issue is that it's hard for them to drive from Boothville to Belle Chase to pick up a packet, I'm going to drive them down to Boothville so that they'll have some at the school in hopes that we can get them as well. But if you have any families out in your community that you know with 3 and 4-year-olds, we're ready for them. If you can grab them and send them our direction, either to the school board website or to call our office, either way, we'll take care of them. And I apologize for not being on sooner. My technology update on my personal laptop took me some extra time.
Well, we had a bunch of questions for the Head Start stuff, but
I'm sure you did.
But we'll catch you next meeting with all the questions. We'll have about 10 probably.
Yeah.
Okay, you might want to send me a list ahead of time so I can prepare.
Well, thank you, Ms. Hayden. We appreciate
Thank you.
Okay, do we have any more information items? Hearing none, we'll move on to item 7, citizens' comments. Ms. Sonia, do we have any citizens that wanted to comment today? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to item 8, date and time and location of our next meeting. Our next meeting will be Monday, July 13th, 2020, 6 p.m. at Belle Chase Elementary School at 539 F. Edward A. Bear, Belle Chase, Louisiana. And we will go under, it'll be a regular meeting, but we'll go under the state guidelines of depending on what level we're on how many people we could have there. But we will be spread out and it will be safe.
Good.
And other than that, do we have a motion for adjournment?
I'll make a
Make a
motion.
Okay, we have a motion by Ms. Myers, seconded by
Me,
Daniel,
Ms. Lampkin.
Ms. Lampkin.
Ms. Lampkin. Okay. Any discussion?
I hope all you ladies get to go to the beauty salon before the next meeting.
Oh, thank
Yeah,
you.
right, Daniel.
All right, all in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye before Dan
Aye.
gets in trouble. Aye.
Good to see everyone. See you soon.
See you
Yeah.
soon.
Yeah,
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks. Have a good evening.
You too.
y'all too.